delicious stew, and her name is Minerva Oach. She's the flower of the flowered coach.
Welcome to the show.
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
Hello again, everybody. It is once again time for comics, cryptids, and cannonballs. It's 87 degrees here. Some people say, let's round it up. It's 90. So it's a little bit warm. We're upstairs. It's a little bit warm up here, but not crazy warm. Some of you that have been around for the duration might have remembered when I was doing errand cons back during COVID. And it was so hot up here one of those years because our air conditioning had broken down. And so Shelly was literally bringing up ice packs and like sliding them down the back of my shirt as I sat up here doing errand con and doing sketches and stuff. Crazy good old times it was. And that was back when I would go without a hat. But see, I don't go without a hat because the little reflection, the hot spots, I keep those to a minimum if possible. Okay, so here we are. I did find out today a couple of interesting facts that I think you guys should mark down on your calendar. Number one, on May 17th, that is National Bruce Lee Day. So I don't know if you knew that or not, but Kung Fu Master Bruce Lee. Official Bruce Lee Day on 17th. And now here's the really important one. On May 27th, which is a Wednesday, which many of you will know that is the day of Graybeard Studios. May 27th is National Errand Day. Thank you very much. Thank you. So mark that down on your calendar. We'll probably be really celebrating and having a good old time on May 27th. So National Donut Day isn't until June. So I was hoping that was in May and that it could just been an incredible bonanza of goodness. So anyway, many of you may have noticed that Barbaric Adventures, of course, the campaign that I am pushing and have been pushing for the last 45 days, is 2 days away from closing down. Now, I had originally planned on it closing on Wednesday so we could kind of do a closeout on Graybeards. But I confused myself because I wanted it to close at midnight, right? So I said, well, I'll have it close at 12 a.m. on the 6th. Okay, well, 12 a.m. on the 6th is basically Tuesday night at midnight, not Wednesday night at midnight. So I screwed it up. So anyway, and you can't go back in and change it now because Indiegogo is so not user-friendly. So we'll be closing out Barbaric Adventures on Tuesday, and we'll still be doing Graybeards on Wednesday, hopefully in a celebratory fashion and not one of sadness. So anyway, you got a couple days left. If you haven't backed the project, please do so. You'll find a link in the description of this video. It's also a link pinned to the top of the chat. We'll get to a commercial break later in the show where we'll review the campaign and once again remind you guys that backing is what's best. Let's see who's here. Stealth. I'm glad Stealth is there. He is. He's first in there. It says, yo, I have been sitting on, and I'm a little embarrassed, but not like I'm not like my face isn't turning red embarrassed, but I'm a little embarrassed that Stealth bought a piece of artwork from me over a week ago. I just today got it packaged up and got the mailing label put on, so it will be dropped in the mail tomorrow. So Stealth, I apologize for taking so long to get that out, but it's just been crazy around here. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, let's see. I wonder if I lowered this table, what would happen? I've got one of these electric tables. See, I can lower it. Now I seem taller. I like it. Okay. Let's see. Because I was trying to raise my chair earlier and I couldn't. I got an old broken down chair here. So if I lowered the table, that means that my chair is now, I'm tall. So I like it. Okay. Creative Faye is here. Randy Howell, of course, he's pushing the goods. Says closing Tuesday evening, Arnold Presley's Barbaric Adventures. There it is. Thank you for that, Randy. Of course, Randy's coming in all the way from Canada. We're at 437 backers. Will we get to 500 so we can raffle off some more artwork? I don't know. We did talk about raffling off a piece of artwork during the next Graybeards for the closeout, but since the closeout's now on Tuesday, I'll probably do it on Tuesday. I'll probably raffle off one more piece, and you have to actually be watching to collect it this time. So that'll give, people in the chat, it'll be a bit more lively. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is always here. Whenever I see Leg Kick in the chat, it makes me think of SummerCon in Puyallup, Washington, which I'll be attending this year in June. June 18th, I believe, is when I'm going down. I think the show is the 19th, 20th, and the 21st or something like that. But I'm going down I'm driving up. I shouldn't say going down. I'm going up. I'm driving up. And we'll be there the evening of the 18th, setting up. Be flying solo this year, as my wife won't be joining me, nor will my daughter or any of my daughter's friends, which is usually what happens. And then my son will drop by for a day, but he's going to be camping with his family. So I'm on my own, man. So let's see how that goes. But I'm looking forward to it because one thing about SummerCon, they have tremendous green room, really good food. So I'm always looking forward. That's it for me, is the food. If you got good food, I'm there. Unless I have to fly across country, then probably I'm not there. Okay, Marcus Kildegrue is here. He's, of course, the purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge. Pantheon is joining us. Matthew Muma. Past Master Dan's joining us. Encouraging everybody to like and subscribe. And I have been seeing my numbers starting to pick up again. So I don't know what that's all about, but I used to every day, that would be the mantra, right? Every time you streamed, like hit the like and subscribe. It, helps the channel grow. And I haven't been saying that recently, and my channel's been growing, so maybe I should just shut up. I think we'll just move on. Eric Boyd is here. He's saying almost is the key word. Corey Landis is joining us. Pity Maw is here. Of course, Pity Maw is here. Thank you for joining us, Pity Maw. Let's see. Best Age Comics. He says, oh, of course I'm late, and I'm still here ahead of Aaron. First cannonball of the day. I am 3 minutes late, and I have to put up with this. I don't understand it. Cisco Beast is joining us. Did I say Best Age Comics? Well, if I didn't, I did. Or if I did, I'm saying it again. Spam throw Pacaror. Spam throw Pacaros. Spam throw Pacaros. Spam throw Pacarus. Thank you. Took me a while, but I got it. Let's see who else is there. There's Paul Taylor, a resident biologist. He's also stuck up in Canada. A lot of people greeting each other, but not enough people greeting me. This is my show after all. Let's see. Paul Taylor says tomorrow is Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Wah, wah, wah. Okay. Gemini Dragon is suggesting that on National Aaron Day that I should give him a third of my comic collection. Oh, wait a minute. National Aaron gives me a third of his comic collection day is on May 28th. Just heads up. Okay, I got it. I often wondered how do you get to like, you know, you can get a star named after you or after a friend or something, right? By paying this registry. I mean, who said that? Who says that's how it goes? I mean, who's to say these people I send my money to that star is going to be named after my daughter or my wife or my mom or me? I mean, how am I going to know that's really what happened? You know? And so how do you get like who do you pay off to get a national day? Now, apparently somebody did with the Aaron thing because that's what I wanted to do, but someone's already done it. It's May 27th, apparently. But like National Donut Day, you know, I'm sure there's a National Waffle Day. We know there's a National Bruce Lee Day. I just found out about that. So who makes that decision? Who says, you know what? I mean, can I contact someone and say, hey, if I give you X amount of dollars, I want June 7th to be National Empire Comics Day, whatever. I mean, can I do that? I should be able to do that. You'd think I'd be able to do that. I don't know if I can do that though. There must be a way. A lot of people agreeing and saying truth and things like that. So I obviously missed some good stuff in the chat. Blue Neptune is here. There's the beam pad. He's Sesame Street. What are you talking about? I mean the two old guys up in the intro, you mean? I don't know what he's talking about. Paul Taylor says National Donut Day was championed by cops all over the country. You would think so. Creative Faye, of course, her real name is April, so she says I get a whole month, so I don't need to buy a day. That's great. It's true. Sock Day. Gemini Dragon says I paid for a star once, but then it fell. Yeah, that's more appropriate, I think. Okay, where are we at? All right, I think that's just about everybody that has spoken up so far. My eye itches, which means hay fever is bugging me. If I start rubbing it, my eye's going to be all red and puffy by the end of the show. So I'm going to do it once here, and hopefully that'll be all it takes. All right. There's Spaceman joining us. Paul Taylor says he doesn't need to buy a day because he's secure with it himself. And I think that's wonderful news, Paul. Here's to you. Well, you guys, I did go to, before the show, Trader Joe's. And you know what that means.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Yes, I picked up a box of Fruity Jellies, kettle cooked, soft, gummy candy. Look at those flavors: orange, raspberry, lemon, blueberry, grape, mandarin. How is that even a flavor? I thought that was a villain. The only problem with that is lemon. I'm not a big lemon fan, but what the heck? Is it mandarin orange? But wouldn't that be the same as orange? Why would they have mandarin orange and orange? That doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, these are really good. And let's go for the grape. They're softer than your normal gummy. They taste actually like real fruit. And they're super sugary. So I'm like, I'm trying to think of the downside, and I just can't. So, good. Creative Faces said, Oh my gosh. Creative Face says, sorry, that's Spaceman. She says, I see Zemnu and Yeti on your table. Is that reference for Freya? No, but I don't know. Is this Zemnu right here? Is this like the coolest action figure ever? I mean, I guess if you'd have to like Zemnu, which I do, but I think this is one of those ones where you bought like other action figures and they would have a piece of him in it and you put them together, I think. But I saw this at a toy show in Vancouver, Washington. My son and I we always go to this toy show there. And there it was. And I didn't even look at the price. I just told the guy, I'll take that. I think it was like, I was at least $25, but I didn't care. It's Zemnu, the Living Titan. Are you freaking kidding me? So there you go. Now, look at this. He's got little control panels or something on his hand. I don't know what that's all about. I got to get up on my Zemnu. He's only like appeared like 3 or 4 times. It's like, how do I not know what's going on there? Zemnu, I think, is one of those guys that every time he appeared, they sort of messed with his backstory a little bit and changed him a little bit. So anyway, well, and I noticed over in the corner, I got this off of Amazon. This is a Yeti. And I thought, well, which is cooler? Zemnu? Well, Zemnu is cooler because he's bigger. But I thought the sculpt on this was okay. The face, it's not great, but it's not horrible. And actually, I think the figure's all right there. So I got it. Now, I went into a store last night, maybe, and at the mall. And we have this store in the mall called Oregon something or other, but it's just stuff made in Oregon. And so they got a lot of Bigfoot stuff in there, and really expensive. So they had this Bigfoot shirt that I saw, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to get that." $41. I said, "No, I don't want to get that." I said, "I just screw you guys," and I was turning tables over. But they did have like sausage on for like 75% off. So I did get like this summer sausage wrapped in like red wax. So I did get that. And then I turned the tables back over. I felt kind of embarrassed because I didn't realize that the summer sausage was on sale. If I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have flipped the table over. But I did not get the Bigfoot shirt. That's the moral of the story, which is kind of depressing because I kind of wanted it. But anyway, what are you going to do? There it is. See Avengers. There he goes. Now, I understand that philosophy. Now, my T-shirts that I've sold, I want to say were $28 up to 2X. And then over 2X, they were, no, that's not true. 3X. Do I have a 5X? I don't think I do. It's 4X. So 2X through 4X was like $35, and then the other ones were 28. But that's small press, right? So it's like it's a little bit higher than you'd normally want to pay for a T-shirt. But yeah, I mean, if it was 30, I might have thought about it. $41 for a T-shirt. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, Paul says, depends on the quality of the shirt. My shirts, the Wraith of God shirts and the Kit Carter shirts, super high quality, the highest quality. So, now this is a good point right here. I just can't convince myself to pay much over $50 for shoes. It's almost impossible to not spend $100 on shoes. And it drives me nuts because I don't want to spend that much on shoes. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I was looking for a pair of like just shoes I could walk in, like running shoes, but I wasn't going to run, but that I could walk in, right? Like take a dog for a walk or whatever. They were all just to get a decent pair. You're $100. It's crazy. Even off-brand, whatever the off-brand is. I mean, not Nike or Adidas, I guess, but crazy. Just saying I'm a boomer. How am I a boomer? Because I don't want to overspend on shoes and shirts. Pastmaster, the thing with Pastmaster Dan is actually older than I am. So he's more of a boomer than I am. All right. Enough about this clothing wars. Whew, it's getting warm up here. I feel like I'm about to get interrogated. It's a big light back there. I made a list this week, so I'm a little bit more organized. So we're going to get right into this. And where is it? We're going to look at some stuff we could spend money on if we had any money. I mean, if we had like real money. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, it's time for that good old, everybody's favorite, the expensive comic of the week. Well, we're going to go back. We're going to stay in the golden age for a while because there's a lot of expensive books in the golden age, obviously. But eventually we'll make our way into the silver age and maybe even the bronze age. So let's take a look. What have I got today? Yep, pretty doggone classic right here. Now, this is the thing that amazed me. This is a 9.2 with a black cover from 1942. That's Superman number 14. Classic American flag shield cover. Excuse me, I've given myself the hiccups, I think. Now, this hasn't sold in a while, but I found this on... this is just on the CGC website. Like they're proud to say, hey, look what we graded. But this is pretty remarkable to have a black cover of a book this freaking old, a 9.2, off-white to white pages. And it's considered a classic cover. So there we go. That's Superman 14. The question, though, is, what is this thing worth? It's a question I often ask myself, and it's a question that we're about to find out the answer to. StreamYard used to be so much easier to use. Every time they improve something, they ruin it. And by they, I mean everyone. Okay, so here we are in my my favorite little app, Go Collect. See, this is a key issue, classic cover. So surprisingly, there's 274 copies of this book graded, which seems like a lot to me for a book of this age. But then it is a classic cover. So it's one of those things I think that people, when they see it, they're like, ooh, that's cool. I'm going to take care of it. So it's probably because of that reason, it's survived a little bit longer than some other books that are more obscure and nobody cared about. But still, 274 is not a lot. So we have one 9.4, which is crazy to me. We have two 9.2s, so that was one of the ones we were looking at. 6 9.0s, 5 8.5s, 10 8.0s. So there's a fair amount of high grade or reasonably high grade copies of this book out there, which would surprise me on this. But so what that tells me is if I really had the money to spend, I could probably find one of these fairly easily. But here's the issue. A 9.4, 2018, says just prior to COVID, sold for $112,000. I would say probably now that 9.4 would probably be in that $120,000 range right now. Now that 9.2 we looked at hasn't sold since 2015 for 35 grand, almost 36 grand. I would say that's gone up considerable since then. When's our most recent sale here is an 8.5 at $24,000. So let's see. So that means that 9.0 is probably about 30 grand. 9.2 probably anywhere from probably I would guess around 45,000, maybe 50,000 on that 9.2. And then you get up to 112, which is your highest graded copy. So that's your most desirable one. So I would say, yeah, about $120,000. Now, if you're cheap like me, you could get into a, oops, sorry about that. You could get into a 0.5, which would be a pretty crappy copy for $850. What's like the best book I could get? I could get into, let's say, if my life depended on it, I could make payments, maybe not at the moment, but in normal life, because I bought a $3,500 book twice. Not the same book twice, but a different book for that's as high as I've ever spent. And so I could get a VG copy of this, a 4.0, for about $3,500 if I really wanted one, which I really don't. But see, look at it. Here's a 2.5 on sale for eBay for almost $3,000. So that's higher than what your fair market is on this. So, and then look at this, a 7.0 for $20,000 on eBay right now. What are we seeing here? 7.0 should be about 14. Whoa, they're really trying to push the price up on these books. Well, anyway, you're going to get stuck with a little bit of, it's going to cost you a little bit of pocket change to get one of these. If I cut a deal with Shelley and we were to get Barbaric Adventures to $200K, I might buy a book like this, but I would not buy this one. I would go for a Golden Age Marvel book because I find them much more entertaining than these stodgy old DC books. Evil One spent up to $2K for one book. So there you go. I'm not the only one here. Eric Boyd says there were some great Golden Age sci-fi comics with fantastic covers, even better than the superhero titles. But that is just my opinion. I agree with you. There's a ton of good non-superhero titles out there, especially in the 50s when most of that stuff was coming around, like Planet Comics and what was it? Zoot Comics had Jungle Comics, and all the ECs, the horror comics. I'm a big fan of all that stuff. Barbarian 69, Brobarian 69 says stodgy and old books. Is it too relatable, Aaron? I think you're right on the money there, dude. I am stodgy. I'm old. Cranky. Is cranky? Can we throw that in there too? Now, Creative Faye, she's going the complete opposite direction. She goes, she got a Conan and a Flash Gordon for free comic book day. So I'm assuming free. So we're talking about high-end comics, and she's going the cheap route and getting the free stuff, which I highly support. Randy Howell for $5 Canadian. Thank you, Randy. Says, I shaved my head for summer. If I put on a fake beard, I could cosplay as Aaron. Thing is, I got a little bit of, I keep a little fuzz up here on the sides. So, well, you have to take a picture, grow the white beard and take a picture, and we'll cosplay. It'll be fun. All right. So anyway, that is your expensive comic of the week. Of course, Superman 14 with the classic American flag shield cover. Now, how do I get out of this mess? Just do that. All right. So back over to the old list. All right. So today we're going to go back in time to what was probably a pretty good year. Well, I don't know. Would 1936 been a good year? Depression started in 1929. I guess it depends on where you were living and how things were going. So I don't know if it was the good old year of 1936, but we're going to take a look at what Hollywood thought of itself back then. All righty. Now, again, for reference points, I will be using the complete unofficial history of the Academy Awards to provide you guys with information that I only hope is true. So if we go back to 1936, our Best Picture winner that year was the always popular, timelessly immortal, the great Ziegfeld. Didn't the Ziegfeld Follies just win like the previous year? That sounds so familiar. No, it was Mutiny on the Bounty one. What was it? A Ziegfeld Follies in here someplace. Maybe I'm high. Apparently I'm high. Cavalcade is what I was thinking of. All right, so the great Ziegfeld wins Best Picture. Isn't that a great movie poster, by the way? Don't you miss the good old days when they did movie posters? They painted everything. So nice. So you had William Powell, Myrna Loy. Of course, they were teamed up in all the Thin Man movies and obviously other films. And then, of course, Louise Rayner, who didn't really know much about old Louise. The ceremony took place March 4th, 1937 in the Biltmore Bowl, Biltmore Hotel. So we've been there for like 3 or 4 years in a row now. Now, the great Ziegfeld did not hit it big with the critics, but did really well with the audiences. It was a $2 million film, which is pretty freaking expensive back in 1936. And it did great at the box office. So that's all the studio cares about. Now, during the Academy Award, if you remember back in 1935, during the ceremony, all the actors and all the important players in Hollywood boycotted the the awards. Mostly, there's some people there like Betty Davis and a few others, but because of the unions. And so they had to make sure the seats were filled, they brought in like office workers and secretaries and all that kind of stuff and had them dress up and be in the audience. Well, this year they're back. All the stars are back. And they say that after last year's proletariat turnout, they say, glamour was back and the champagne flowed. Lovebirds Carol Lombard and Clark Gable sipped bubbly with the recently engaged William Powell and Jean Harlow. How about that? Betty Davis even turned up in a glittery gown to present the Best Actress award. Now, the last star to arrive was someone we've been talking about for several episodes now, Norma Shearer. She was on the arm of Louis B. Mayer. It was Shearer's first public appearance since the death of her husband, Irving Thalberg. Oh, that's a bummer. 6 months earlier. She was presumed, they seem like they did this a lot. She was presumed Best Actress winner for her extremely mature Juliet in Romeo and Juliet. We'll get to that later. But a quick trip downstairs to the press room would have eliminated the guesswork. The names of the winners had been given to reporters at 8 p.m. to meet East Coast deadlines. After an MGM publicist poked his head in to check the results, he ran to the phone to call He called Louise Rayner. She insisted that she couldn't make it to the ceremony, having just driven down from San Francisco. She said, "My face is all red from the sun and wind." But the young winner was quickly reminded of whom she worked for and what was required of her. So Rayner arrived in plenty of time to graciously accept her Oscar from George Jessel. Now, let's take a look at old Louise. There she is. Louise Rayner. Now, here's the thing. Now, George Jessel was not supposed to award the Best Actress. Betty Davis was, and she was backstage supposed to come out because she had won the previous year and she was going to present to this year's winner. So backstage, she was fuming and she confronted Georgie Jessel backstage. How dare he steal her role as a presenter? He begged her forgiveness, claiming that he was momentarily thrown off because Victor McLaughlin, who had won the previous year, made a drunken shambles out of his Oscar presentation to the Best Actor winner that year, who was the great, and I don't think people really remember how great this dude was, Paul Muni, who won for The Story of Louis Pasteur. Most people remember Paul Muni as Al Capone in Scarface, which was 1932, I believe. So Victor McLaughlin allegedly, well, I guess didn't allegedly, I guess they've got, on record, he went out there drunk and like gave this just meandering speech, and he was presenting. He didn't win. He was just up there bloviating, and people, I guess it was really bad. And so, but he finally got around to giving the award to Paul Muni for Louis Pasteur. And then, of course, Georgie Jessel, I don't know what he was doing out there, but then he jumped the gun and gave it to the Best Actress award without not allowing Bette Davis to do it, which then, of course, everybody was all pissy. Now, this also marked the first time. This cracks me up. I did not know this, but I just found this out while researching all this. Walter Brennan won his first of three Academy Awards. Now, this was the first year they had the Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress categories. It was 1936. And he won for Come and Get It. Now, this is interesting. Walter Brennan was still in his 30s when he began playing crotchety old men on screen. With his prematurely thinning hair, missing teeth, and weary expression, he had the good fortune of looking 10 years older than he was, which got him some plum roles. Now, Walter Brennan set out to become an engineer, but landed in Hollywood. In short order, he was appearing in bit parts. He became the first actor to win 3 Academy Awards, all supporting roles, but that is true. And this was the first. We won't mention the other 2 till we actually get there. Best Supporting Actress was won by Gail Sondergaard, who ended up blacklisted along with her husband following the House of Un-American Activity Committee hearings. So the last film she actually made was 1949. That's what you get for being a dirty commie. So anyway. I want to share one more thing here about a couple more things, but then one more picture. Okay, so as we talked about earlier, Norma Shearer was supposed to, everybody thought she was going to win Best Actress, right? Okay, so here we go. This was Romeo and Juliet, a scene from Romeo and Juliet. Now check this out. Now, as those of you who are familiar with Shakespeare, right? Romeo and Juliet is 2 teenagers having a romance and they end up killing each other or whatever, right? So Norma Shearer played Juliet. She was 36 years old. Leslie Howard played Romeo and he was 44. So they were the ill-fated teenagers. So we make fun of movies like Grease and whatever that had 30-year-olds playing high school students. Well, now you've got 40-year-olds playing teenagers here, so I'm glad she didn't win. So anyway, that's probably the last I think we're going to hear from old Norma for a while. I could be wrong. Real quickly, Best Picture nominees that year were Anthony Adverse, never heard of it, Dodsworth, The Great Ziegfeld, which won, Libeled Lady, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, that, of course, Frank Capra film. Romeo and Juliet, which we're just talking about right here, produced by Irving Thalberg, who had recently died within 6 months of this, 6 months prior to the show. San Francisco, which I want to say that had Clark Gable in it, didn't it? Pretty sure it did. Because it was like when San Francisco burned to the ground and all that kind of stuff. The story of Louis Pasteur, The Tale of Two Cities, then Three Smart Girls. So they nominated 3, 6, 10 pictures. Kind of excessive. Your best actor category was Gary Cooper for Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, Walter Houston in Dodsworth, Paul Muni, of course, the winner for Louis Pasteur, William Powell for My Man Godfrey, and Spencer Tracy in San Francisco. All right, hang on a second. So the best picture is The Great Ziegfeld, starring William Powell, but he was nominated for My Man Godfrey, not for The Great Siegfried. It's insane. Actresses that were nominated: Irene Dunn, Gladys George, Carol Lombard for My Man Godfrey, Louise Rainier for The Great Ziegfeld, and she won, of course. Then Norma Shearer for Romeo and Juliet. So the best actor nominees are all meh. Okay, so let's get a little Hollywood Babylon in here, and then we'll move on. But the Sins of Omission this year for 1936 were Modern Times. Did not get nominated for Best Picture, and it's considered one of the great movies of all time. And I would agree. The Charlie Chaplin film Modern Times was a fantastic movie. Did not get nominated. My Man Godfrey did not get nominated, despite the acting nominations for it. Director Fritz Lang did not get nominated for his movie Fury, which I haven't seen, but I hear is excellent. And of course, Charlie Chaplin didn't get nominated for Best Director for Modern Times. Just for the sake of argument here, Frank Capra won Best Director for Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. You had Gregory LaCava for My Man Godfrey. So My Man Godfrey got nominated for Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, but did not get nominated for Best Picture. That's really bizarre. Robert Leonard got nominated for directing The Great Ziegfeld, which won, but he did not win. Frank Capra did for Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. W.S. Van Dyke for San Francisco, and William Wyler for Dodsworth. So there you go. Those were your nominees. Let's see if we got any more. There was a suspiciously high number of nominees who happened to be on the nominating committee. Among them were Carol Lombard and Frank Capra. Following ugly accusations, the nominating duties were returned to the general membership. So that's probably a good idea there. Now, there were rumors of a secret pact between Louis B. Mayer and Jack Warner. Mayer would strongly advise his employees to vote for Paul Muni if Warner would do likewise on behalf of The Great Ziegfeld. How about that? So that may explain why both of those won. Now, Louis B. Mayer, was incensed by the recent marriage of his star Louise Rayner, who won Best Actress, because she married, and I quote, that rotten communist playwright Clifford Odets. So there you go. Jean Harlow died of inflamed gallbladder just 2 months after the awards banquet. Her eccentric Christian Scientist mother refused to allow an operation, insisting that she would cure her through prayer, which apparently did not work out. Then it says Norma Shearer retired from the screen in 1942 and married a 28-year-old ski instructor, Marty Arouge. So there you go. First, of course, Best Supporting categories were introduced this year. So there you go. That is your Academy Award history for 1936. How about that? I find it interesting that the Academy Awards have always been corrupt since their inception, driven by politics and cheating and all sorts of stuff. And it's funny that you think back that, back then they got it right. Now they were still doing the same crap they're doing now, just different motivations. But it's amazing at all when you think about it. The people that anybody that should have won actually did win ever. And there are a few where you can look at it and go, yeah, that they got that right. I'm not sure if we're to that point yet. I did say Frederick March in 1930, 31 or 32, for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde should have won, and he did. But it's interesting how much shenanigans, shall we say, were going on. Randy L is absolutely right. Those damn dirty commies. I'm telling you. All right. So who would have thought, says Citizen Ronan, a group of people giving themselves awards would be corrupt? Isn't that weird how, although I don't know if there's really an example of someone getting an award that wasn't sponsored by the people that do the same thing. Like comic book awards are given out, by, I guess there's some of those have fan votes, right? Some of those do, like the Harveys. Obviously, I've never been nominated, so I wouldn't know. But yes, I guess that's true. When you have, if it was just like comic book professionals voting, there is one of those is comic book professionals voting, right? Maybe that's the Harveys. I don't know. But yeah, it does kind of seem kind of silly because then it's like everybody knows everybody. Then people are like, oh yeah, vote for my friend or whatever. No one's actually objectively voting for anything. So, why do I got so many lemons in here? I mean, I like lemon squares, like dessert lemon squares, but as candy, it's not my favorite flavor. But what are you going to do? It's not going to keep me from eating them. Don't get me wrong. There was a great book. It was actually called Hollywood Babylon. I think it came out in the 70s, maybe. And on the cover is, how Elizabeth Taylor went from, she was like Elvis, really fit and trim and beautiful. Then she got a little bit older. She got super fat. And then she lost all that weight again. And so there's a picture. This book is called Hollywood Babylon, which I don't have and I've got to get because there's so many racy, crazy stories in there. But there's a picture of her sitting in a movie theater, big fat Liz Taylor eating popcorn in a movie theater is on the cover. And, there's all sorts of weird Hitchcock stories and things like that in there, which some of them I know. And I'm sure some of those will come up in our, as we go through the years in this book, as they already have. Okay. All right. It's time now. No, I don't have an ad to run from Taco Bell. They still aren't supporting this channel, but I am supporting this channel. And I would like to bring to your attention, if I may, look at the clock counting down right there. 2 days, 8 hours, 8 minutes, and 28 seconds, 27, 26. Look at the time is just ticking away. And what is it ticking away for? It's ticking away for Barbaric Adventures. That is the book that I am promoting, that I am crowdfunding on Indiegogo, at least for another 2 days and whatever. What is it? You're asking yourself. You're probably not, because almost everybody here probably knows what it is, but just in case someone's new, it's a 64-page square-bound magazine format. That's 8.5 by 11 to you and me. Black and white, but with tonal renderings. So it has a dimensionality to it, a quality to it, an artistic vision to it. It's not just, we can't afford colors, so we're the Ninja Turtles, we'll print it in black and white. No, this is an artistic choice, folks. And I know you're going to love it. So what I tried to do was kind of, I never got to do a Savage Tales story. I've done a Conan story for Dark Horse, but I never got to do Savage Tales for Marvel. So I said, I'll do it myself. And here I am. So in this book, I debut my new title, Primal Zone, that was created back in, all my really good ideas were created back in 1996, which is pretty amazing. And they've just sat around waiting for an opportunity to come out. And here we are 30 years later, practically. I guess it is 30 years later, finally getting to see some of this stuff. So it's the story of a soldier of fortune who is hired to go through a dimensional portal to find a missing man. And on the other side of that dimensional portal is a world full of cavemen, dinosaurs, even some political intrigue. So in the flavor of Edgar Rice Burroughs, this story is, and you're going to really enjoy it. So if you have not backed it, you should really consider doing so, because you only have 2 days left to do it. Also, David Williams will be, we're waiting to see a story by David, and you're going to see it right here. It introduces us to the story of a young medieval knight who battles a horde of demons in a quest to become a true warrior. Excuse me. Finally, Dan Lawless takes us to a futuristic Mars, where a high-tech society has fallen into savage chaos, and one man leads a rebellion to defeat the corrupt powers that have seized control. I will say about Dan. He's already done with his story. That lousy SOB. So now it's like the pressure's on me and David to get our stories done, which of course we will. But kudos to Dan for being really prompt and working on this thing. When I was putting the campaign together, slaving away, promoting it, Dan was working at his drafting table, and I haven't seen the finished product yet. I've seen a couple pages, but I will be editing that story soon and looking forward to it. So this book is well on its way. I'm on my 5th page in the story right now. I'm not sure where David's at, because David's one of those dudes, draws a little bit here, draws a little bit there, draws one over here, and you're just like, dude, he's not linear in his work structure. So, but he's somewhere along the line here. And anyway, so now the heat is on, because the campaign will be over and the full-time work of actually drawing instead of promoting will begin. But anyway, this is the first cover A. This is my version of, well, I should say this is my cover, which features my characters from Primal Zone. This is David's cover that features his young knight story. This is Dan Lawless's Mars Madness cover. And of course, the great Joe Jusko contributed a nice painted cover featuring Freya, the Ice Princess. And the thing about Freya is she gets her own little preview story. It's not a complete story in the sense that, it's 20 or 30 pages. It's going to be 4 or 5 pages. It's a little preview story to kind of get a flavor for the character, if you will. So that'll also be in there, along with the original 8-page Primal Zone story I did back in 1996 that has never been published. So you'll see all of that, plus these 3 main stories. This book is just jam-packed with greatness. So you don't want to miss it. Here's some of the artwork. First couple pages, and then this is like page 13 or something like that of my story. Here's a couple pages of Dan's, right? And as I said, David's pages are all in partial completion stage right now. So we will preview a couple of those when I get the completed ones from him. So anyway, if you look over to your right, you'll see that this is what we call the 4-pack plus option over here, where you can buy all 4 covers and the sketchbook, which is 8.5 by 11, along with the rest of the books, 32 pages of Barbaric Adventures sketchbook, it's all my stuff, signed by me. You can get all 4 of those plus the sketchbook, $120 value for $105 measly dollars. Now, if you say, Aaron, that's not big enough for me. I want to go bigger. Well, we've got something called the Big Barbaric Box. And within the Big Barbaric Box, you get everything on this campaign page, including 2 items you can't get as add-ons. The only way you can get them is if you order the Big Barbaric Box. And that's this 4-print portfolio here with an illustrated envelope, which I'm not going to show you the envelope because you'll get to see that if you back the box. But these are the 4 prints that'll be in there, signed by me. And then cover number E, or our 5th cover. So the book is actually attached to the cover. It's not just the cover. And this is exclusive to the Big Barbaric Box. You can't get this cover unless you get the Big Barbaric Box. And behind me is, of course, the underpainting for this cover. Here's the Barbaric sketchbook. And also, we do have some stretch goals, which maybe you seem pie in the sky at this point, but 40,000 is still possible. And that's a free Primal Zone trading card, which I'd be very excited to provide for you guys, and for my own trading card collection as well. And then, so this is the 8.5 by 11, 32-page sketchbook. Here is the snow hunt print featuring Freya. In fact, the cover of the sketchbook features Freya as well. And there she is again. You can get the Barbaric Adventures shot glass, where this logo will be laser etched into the glass. Now, we have a series of 6 shot glasses. This is 5th in a series of 6. So those of you who've been collecting the shot glasses, don't let these go by. There'll be one more in the collection. When we do Wraith of God 4, that will be the final shot glass in the collection. And I will also offer on the Wraith of God 4 campaign, we'll have a shot glass holder for all your shot glasses. It will be something you can get as well. All right, so there's some original art for sale. These 2 pieces are still available. And these were cover concept drawings for my proposed 6th cover featuring Celia from Primal Zone. There was this one, and you guys went with this one without the T-Rex, but with this background. But both these pieces are available on the campaign page. This one, both these are markered up and actually pretty nice pieces, and they're still available. So you might want to consider getting in on those. This is still available. That promo piece, page 1 and page 2 are still available. And of course, my painted cover is still available. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see the rewards you can choose from. That's the 4-pack plus, which we discussed earlier. Shot glass, you can get all 4 covers, or you can singly order any particular cover that you like the best. You can do a combo pack with my cover and the sketchbook, which you save yourself $5 there. You can do a combo pack with my cover, the sketchbook, and the snow hunt print for $5 savings there. Or you can go crazy, get the big barbaric box, which is a $210 value for $185. That's all 4 covers, plus the 5th cover, plus the shot glass, plus the snow hunt print, plus the sketchbook signed by me, and also the snow hunt print is signed, and the only available in the box 4-print portfolio with illustrated envelope, of course, signed by me. So that's a $25 savings right there with the big barbaric box. Here's the artwork. The stuff with purple, still available. The stuff that's gray, it's already been sold. So you can see the 2 pieces are still available for purchase. A couple of the pages are still there. And you keep scrolling down and you get to the add-ons. So essentially, if you wanted David's cover and you wanted a sketchbook, you could buy David's cover, add the sketchbook on, and then you say, you know what? I missed Wraith of God 3. Well, gosh darn it, you can get it right here. Or you missed the Kit Carter graphic novel. You can get that. Or the Garbage Man trade, or the Power Cube trade. Or if you want to do your own combination of covers, say you want my cover and Joe Jusko's cover, you order mine and come down here and add on Joe's. It's that simple. And the Kit Carter sketchbook as well, if you missed that on the Kit Carter campaign. All that stuff available at your fingertips, but for only 2 days, 7 hours, and 57 minutes. So please consider backing this, what I consider the coolest book of 2026. I'm sure anybody will tell you that, but I really know. So you'll find a link to the description. Let's try that again. You'll find a link to the campaign in the description of this video. You'll also find it pinned to the top of the chat of this video. You will also find it on my profile page on X or Twitter, if you will. And you can find it on aaronlopresti.com, where I have tons of original artwork and books and all sorts of stuff there that you can buy. But you can also just link right over to the campaign from my website, or you can just go to Indiegogo and type in Aaron Lopresti and or Barbaric Adventures, and the campaign will come up. So please, folks, now's the time to do it. 2 days left. All right, there you go. There it is, the Home Shopping Network. Absolutely, that's what it is. You got it. You guys, if you're going to get this high quality, if you're going to get this high quality of entertainment, you got to pay the piper, and that's, you got to have one commercial break, and that was it. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your support. get out there and push the campaign if you don't mind. When you think about it, if you see one of my tweets, retweet it so we can get as many eyes on this as possible before it closes out. Woohoo! Oh, I wanted to show. So yeah, so the original, these are the originals, the ones I was talking about. This one's 11 by 14. Very nice piece. And this one is 9 by 12. Also a very nice piece, but on colored paper. So it's kind of even cooler. So anyway, these two are available along with a few other pieces up there. All right. Well, it's warm up here. Did I mention that before? Okay. Well, you know what they say. The show must go on. And we're no different here.
Moving right along.
That's right. Moving right along. And what's next on the old agenda? It's this. I'm going to go a little bit crazy here. Did I run the intro for the Academy Awards thing? I don't remember if I did. I don't think I did. Let's do that. I took the time to make it. I should have run it. I'm sorry I didn't run it before. So now we're going to do this. Don't be alarmed, folks. They're just toys. All right, let's get these guys out of the way. We're going to take a trip back through memory lane. This is going all the way back to, wow, I don't even know what year this is. Does it say any place? 1997. So this is after the fall of Malibu Comics, and I ended up getting a couple gigs at DC. One of them was Superboy and the Ravers, and here's the interesting thing. I can't remember who inked this. It might have been Jordy Ensign, but I'm not 100% certain. Actually, look, it might have been me. I honestly don't remember. But anyway, so I did a 2-issue arc in Superboy and the Ravers. And I'll tell you, I actually, looking at this, I think the artwork's pretty good. The problem is, like the figure work and stuff, I think is really good. The problem is my inking approach or my style was very lacking. It was very sort of, you know, and it is to a certain degree today. It's still sort of a 70s kind of, like, look at these lines here. Very bold, thick-lined, sort of comic book looking. And so they didn't really have that sort of unique, you know, maybe something that Arthur Adams was doing, or, you know, any number of guys that had more of a unique and interesting style. Mine was, you know, I think it was well drawn, and I think the storytelling was good, but it just lacked some zip. And so I was still evolving that. But as you can see here, look at this figure work down here. I think that's pretty good. I think that figure drawing right there is pretty good. Again, I don't know. Did I ink this? I can't believe I inked it because I don't know that I would have had time to ink it. But I feel like I'm looking at this, and this looks to me like I inked this figure. And I don't know why I would have inked that and not the rest of it. So it's very possible that I inked this. I guess if I looked at the comics, I could find out, right? So that's, somebody look it up. That's issue number 11 of Superboy and the Ravers. I want to know if I inked this or not. Or who did? I can't remember. Because some of this looks like I inked it. Now, see, I was trying to do more kind of an Adam Hughesy thing with you know, making my faces better, more realistic. I just didn't have the talent that he had, but that's kind of what I was going for. I was going through that kind of stage where I was getting influenced by Adam, and I was getting influenced by, Kevin Nolan. So I was trying to come up with some, shading techniques. Dang, that looks like I inked that. Jordy Ensign. Okay. Did I get any inking credit in any of it? Like maybe I helped out and did a few pages? Because I would swear this looks like I inked it. But Jordy actually was pretty good. But so, the one thing I look back on this, we always look back on our old work and go, but I thought that was pretty solid. It's not, spectacular or anything, but I think it was solid. And at that point, I was just happy to be consistently drawing something that looked like it was supposed to look. And still trying to evolve into, something stylistically that might give me a little bit more attention. I don't know that I actually ever did, but it's so hard to pinpoint that. What is it that makes something really, really cool? Well, let me show you something that makes something really, really cool. I want to make sure these are in order. Okay. So we've all heard the tragic tale of me doing the X-Men, and that I got offered the regular gig, the monthly gig as the X-Men artist, which could have changed my entire career. And then the two editors that were in charge, Mark Powers and Pete. It's not Pete. Pete Franco got fired right after they hired me to do, they hadn't officially hired me, but they were like, dude, we want you to take over X-Men. I'm like, yeah. And then literally not even 2 days later, they were fired, and it all went up in smoke, and off I went to CrossGen. But before they got fired, I did do some X-Men. And this particular page was inked by the extremely groovy Danny Mickey. And you can't see much on this page, but even look at the bubbles here in that test tube. If you can see that. And Danny's a pen inker, right? So he really brought some extra zip to the process. You can probably see it better in these. Like that face up there of Banshee, I think that is. Just look at the little blood all over his face. And you can see how the line work is interpreted is much thinner and more angular and broken and stuff. And so it has much more of a modern kind of feel to it. Now, this was a couple years. This probably was 2000. So it was about 3 years after that Superboy and the Ravers. But yeah, so I love Danny Mickey because he inked like I could not ink. And he really gave my stuff like a really, even this, shot of Banshee laying in the hospital bed there. If you look at the line work on there. I drew all that stuff in there, but he just inked it differently than a brush inker would have, and it gives it a completely different look. Now, I did this out of order, kind of. So you had like a medium shot close up, a super close up, and then this isolated shot because I wanted the last shot of him to really feel isolated and all alone. And so I think they flipped these two panels. So it was more of but I like this kind of zooming in for this emotional shot and then pulling back and isolating him. and the editors flipped these two panels so they would go big or biggest, smaller, smallest, which whatever. That's what you get for trying to outsmart people. And they also removed the tear from his eyes because they thought it made him look too wimpy to sit there and cry. Because I don't remember if there was a tear in the script or not, but I was trying to, like, give this scene a little emotional gravitas, and they ruined it. But I didn't ruin it, but they changed it. And but anyway, you can see how different inking over the same pencils can make a huge difference in how it's perceived. So I very likely could have been the regular X-Men artist with Danny Mickey inking me. And it just would have, I would have had a whole different trajectory to my career. But no use crying over spilt milk. I do that all the time anyway. So Blackjack says your run on Excalibur was incredible. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Anti-Entity said, Aaron, they had hired you. That is your sign that you had what it took. Thank you, Anti-Entity. I appreciate that. But anyway, so I always I try to keep as many pages of Danny Mickey inking over me as I can, because it just didn't happen very often, because Danny was always, and Danny liked inking me. And, we're good friends in the professional sense. I haven't had dinner at his house or anything, but we get along great, and he likes inking my stuff. But he was always on like major projects, and I was always on middle of the road projects. So it very rarely worked out. So he inked a couple of X-Men backup stories I did, a couple of shorter X-Men things. He did some of Planet Hulk before he had to quit because he was just swamped with everything else. And Planet Hulk at the time wasn't a big deal. It was just Hulk. So it was considered a middle of the road book, but of course it became a smash hit because of Planet Hulk. And then they changed the entire line to accommodate World War Hulk, and that became the event and everything. But that sort of happened after the fact. They didn't know that going into the storyline, that it was going to be big. And Danny, I think, was a lot of times he was getting pulled into to work for oh geez, who was editor-in-chief at that time? Old man Aaron, can't remember anything. Joe Quesada. And so you couldn't exactly pull him off Quesada to work on my Hulk pages, but he did do some of them. There you go. Evil One's calling it like he sees it. It might have been a fan of Aaron Lopresti if I'd worked on X-Men. It's very possible. But anyway, here we are. Crowdfunding and loving it. So that was a little step back through memory lane. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as me. Okay, so I'm going to return to a feature we haven't done in actually several weeks. In fact, I've only done it once. And it wasn't supposed to be a regular bit, but whenever something comes up and catches my attention, then it becomes a bit. So here we go. Okay, this isn't like the Gary segment on Graybeards where I start selling off my stuff. This is something out in the ether that's for sale that may be of interest to you guys. And I know it's of interest to me, but financially, it's not of interest to me. But if I had the money, it might be of interest to me. Here we go. Look at this over on Comic Link right now. Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer 4 oil painting. There it is. Look at that baby right there. You can own this wonderful piece of fantasy art for the low price, $2.4 million, and it can be yours. I wonder if they'll throw in the frame. What do you think about that rustic frame they got it in? That's kind of cool, actually. I like that. The big question is, I wonder how much whoever owns this, whoever's selling it, how much they actually paid for it. Probably not even $1 million. And I honestly, I'll throw this out there. I think this is a fairly simple piece. I don't think that it's worth 2.4. So I don't know that this guy's going to get 2.4 for this. I'm thinking this is more in that $1 million range, which is still, is ridiculous. It's a lot of money. But it's good for Zeta, but it's not prime for Zeta, but it's good. This is a good piece, but there's way better Death Dealer pieces than this one. And I can't imagine. I mean, I know the Egyptian Queen painting sold for $7 million or something. But I don't know. I don't know if 2.4 is realistic for this. It might be for the original Death Dealer painting. You might get that. Probably would get that. But for this one, I don't know. This seems high to me. Not that I don't like it, because I do, but 2.4 million, it's got to be. This is interesting here. It's oil on masonite, which I think is probably what a lot of guys do. They buy these pieces of masonite board and they prime them and they paint on them because it's a smoother surface. I'm painting on canvases right now because I like that canvas texture to show through. But I also get the like Joe Jusko, I think, paints on like masonite or a flat, hard surface. Some guys will buy wood and paint on that. They'll prime that and paint on that. But right now I'm kind of playing with the canvas thing because I kind of like that canvas texture peeking through. But I've already been thinking about doing it on masonite and much smoother surface, just for the heck of it. So anyway, there you go. You want a Frazetta? Here's your chance. $2.4 million for Death Dealer 4. I'm sure people are raging in the chat about this. Darn, says Sky Baby. The shipping and handling always gets you. Yeah, how much is the shipping on this? Is probably that is funny. Yeah, doesn't say. Would you trust someone if you paid? Hang on a second. If you paid $2.4 million for this painting, would you trust someone to ship it to you? There's no freaking way. I wouldn't even fly. I would drive there and pick it up, put it in my car safely, and drive back. That is what I would do. And so this is either in Pennsylvania. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know where it's at. If Frazetta was selling it, so he bought it in 2018 from the Frazetta estate. So I don't know where this guy's at, but I don't care where he's at. If I had 2.4 million spent on this, I would go pick it up. Or if I had 2.4 million to spend, I could probably pay someone to go pick it up for me and make sure that, I don't even know if I'd trust anybody else. If I paid him, I'd go do that. I think I would have to go do it myself. And I'd want it covered. I'd want it boxed up. I'd want it so protected. It was ridiculous. And then I would put it in my car. And actually, I would hire a car. I'd hire someone to drive me cross country because I had 2.4 million. Why wouldn't I do that? How much gas do you think it would cost if you were in a limo and had him drive you in a limousine across country to get this. That's a lot of time. If I have 2.4 million, I'm probably like a really busy business guy, probably can't afford to do it or can't afford the time. So I probably wouldn't. I'm back to hiring someone to go get this for me. But what if they wrecked it? What would you do to them? I mean, I guess you'd insure it, right? After you bought it, then you buy the insurance. But then how much is that? I mean, you got to have a lot of money just to play in this ballpark. You got to have a lot of money. And that's a ballpark they won't allow me into. So that's true. See, I'm trying to be economical here, but I got 2.4 million to spend on a painting. So obviously I'm not trying to save money. So blackjack, hire an armored car company. That might be what I'd do for a $2.4 million painting. I think you're right on this rare occasion, Aaron. Also, Death Dealer, it's pretty small for the price. I think it's high, but I'd be curious to find out what this guy paid for it in 2018. I don't know if that stuff's still, I mean, that's what, 6 years ago now? 7? Oh my gosh, it's 8 years ago. So they probably don't have that information listed on the site still, but I would be interested. I'll bet he didn't pay over $1 million for it, or maybe right around $1 million. So that 2.4 million could be just a pie in the sky number that he wants to get, but realistically, he's looking at maybe 1.5 million or something. I don't know. That's still a lot of money. Yeah, right. With air conditioning too, you'd want that thing in a controlled temperature. Dang. That's it. I'm in a quandary now. Would I have enough patience to sit in a limousine? Wait a minute. What if you did this? Could you fly to wherever the guy was? Right. So you just got a couple-hour flight and you're there. And you're probably taking your private jet, right? Because you have 2.4 million. So you've got to have access to a private jet. So you take the private jet. Well, if you had a private jet, then I would just take the painting with me on the jet and fly back. But if I had to fly commercial, I could fly there, and then I could rent a limo or something, right, to drive me back cross country with my painting. I could do that, right? And then how would they get then the guy would have to drive his limo back, but he don't care about money at this point. And I just don't want to waste a week driving there and a week driving back, but I would take a week to drive back with the painting. Can you imagine that? You stop at a hotel every night and you haul up this, wooden box with this $2 million painting in it into your room every night. How does like Heritage and places like that, when they have like these big, how do they acquire the art? Maybe they do ship this stuff. Could you ship it for would you ship it to, I mean, they must do it all the time though, right? It's not like people are driving cross country to drop their stuff off at Heritage. Interesting. Well, I'm sure there are. But I would just be like, oh my gosh, I spent 2.4 million. I would be like literally biting my nails the whole time until that painting arrives safely in my house. I'm just saying. All right. Well, an interesting conversation, but that's all it'll ever be, is an interesting conversation, because it ain't ever going to happen in real life, not to this guy. And that's not the painting I would buy. That's the thing. That is not the painting I would buy. If it were me, and I could type, I actually can type a little bit. I actually took typing class in junior high. Did you guys ever take typing class? It's either 8th or 9th grade. So I can type. I'm not great at it, but you know, I don't think that's really a valuable skill anymore anyway. So bear with me here a second. This freaking thing freeze on me. You know, I'm just trying to do something simple here, and they're just annoying the crap out of me. All right. Nothing's simple when I have to do it. All right, that's the painting that I would buy. Out of all the Frazetta paintings, but I've got to imagine this is probably, now this is as far as I know, I could be mistaken on this, but I think this is the only painting that Frazetta did that won like a major award, this book cover. So if that's the case, I'm guessing 5 to 8 million on this one. Now here's the sad thing. Back in 1990, was it one? It's like 91 to 93, somewhere in that neighborhood. There was a Frazetta, a big Frazetta gallery showing. And those of you who are into Frazetta, they had the you know how they have those big hardcover gallery books that you buy that has all the art from the show in it. And those are $100 just by themselves. So that's how they make money, because no one buys the paintings, are too expensive, but they all go buy these books and then they make, you know, money off the books. But anyway, I have the book from this gallery showing. I believe it was in New York. This painting was for sale when it was, like I said, it was 91, 92, 93, somewhere in that neighborhood. $500,000 is what this painting, it was the most expensive painting he had. Well, it may not have been. There might have been a couple other ones that were around that ballpark, but $500,000. And so here we are 30 years later, and I'm guessing this would challenge the Egyptian queen. The fact that it doesn't have a Frazetta babe in it might hurt it, but it doesn't bother me. This would be the painting. I got a print of it. I love this thing, but I will never own the original unless I win the lottery. Now, how much of a lottery winning? This is going off the rails, but if you won the lottery, how much lottery money would you have to win to say drop 8 million on this painting? Let's just say it's 8 million. If you won, say, 50 million, would that be enough? Could you justify then spending 8 million on a painting? I still don't know if you could. I mean, after taxes, right? You win $50 million after taxes. And you're sitting there going, hey, honey, do you mind if I spend $10 million on a Frazetta oil painting? I mean, yeah, we still got 40 million left, but it seems kind of irresponsible, doesn't it? I don't know. I mean, if I had 100 million, I could probably do it. Well, that's true. Randy Howell says 50 million is true FU money, I guess. Pity Ma took typing in 10th grade. See, I did it in junior high. Well, we had junior high from 7th grade through 9th grade. Now it's 6th through 8th, and then 9th through 12th is high school. But it wasn't around here, it wasn't like that. Your freshman year was actually still considered junior high, although they allowed, like, if you were like really good basketball or football, usually not football because you're just not developed enough, but basketball players could then play at the high school level, even though they were 9th graders in a different school. But yeah, we used to have it, but it's switched now. It's 9 freshman year through senior year's high school, and then 6th grade through 8th grade is considered junior high or middle school or whatever. Sky Baby says, if I had that kind of money, I don't think I'd be justifying myself to anyone. There you go. I like it. I mean, if I got 50 million, this is not going to go away. I'm sorry. If I got 50 million now at 62 years old, I'm like, okay, really, how much longer do I really have? So yeah, I probably would. I'd probably dump 10 million on a Frazetta painting. Just so, and then my kids wouldn't care because when I died, they'd be able to sell it for more than I paid for it probably anyway. So it's like an investment. That's what I tell my wife. This is an investment. So, okay, enough of that. I could do this what if all day, right? But it's probably not going to happen. So, all right. This was an interesting thing. These jellies are, I mean, I'm a chocolate guy, but anything that's chewy, I like. Thank you, Chris. He says, I got the email. Thanks. Here's a $2 towards your Frazetta painting. I'm going to put that away. And maybe before I die, I'll have that built up enough to get it. Henry is listening while exercising. Good for you. I have not been to the gym in like 3 weeks. This is really sad. I got to get back in there and I got to get back in shape, man. You know, the funny thing is, and I don't know, maybe you don't do this, but I do this now. I've been working out really for 8 or 9 months. It really, when Christmas hit, it really screwed up my schedule. And then just a multiplicity of things at the end of last year really screwed up my schedule. I haven't really gotten back in a regular schedule working out, but I had for like about 9 months straight. I was, you know, and I hadn't paid attention to my weight at all or anything. And so I remember weighing myself, and I was like, I went to a doctor's appointment, and I was in clothes, right? Because they weigh you in clothes, and you're always like, oh, that adds 3 pounds or whatever. So I get on the scale, and I'm 195 pounds. And I'm like, whoa, that means I'm really about 192 pounds, which I'm usually somewhere between 200 and 210, depending, you know, on how fat Aaron is at any given week. And so I was shocked. So the first thing I think is I got cancer, right? I'm dying. So, but then you go, no, I'm not going to go to the doctor. And I mean, this is stupid. I'm just being foolish. So I felt fine. But I was like, I shouldn't be that light. I've never been that light. Well, I have been, but not for years. But I never had worked out as regularly as I had been for this 9 months either. And my food intake had been less. So I'm sitting there thinking, but I was scared to death. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I got cancer or something. So I quit working out and just started eating like a pig to see if I could gain the weight back. And guess what? I gained the weight back. So I apparently don't have cancer. And so now I'm going to go work out again and trying to get back down to like 195. As stupid as that sounds, but it's so true. Oh, man. Let's see. I know, but see, that's what you think of when you hit 60. I would never have thought that, but then I'm like 60, and that's all I think about is stuff like that now, which is horrible. So, anyway, okay. Enough about that. But let's look at some cover art, shall we? All right, now I'm not a huge J. Scott Campbell guy. In case if Scott's watching, please don't take this as an offense, because I think he's great. But he was never someone that I really, chased after or whatever in terms of, oh, I got to get this cover, I got to get that cover, because I don't work in anything sort of similar to what he does, and so it was kind of difficult for me to pick out, 10 or 11 covers of his that were like I'd consider my faves. because a lot of them are very much sort of pinup covers, right? So they're very similar, just with different characters. So, but I did find some that I thought were really outstanding. Let's take a look at those. Now, of course, this is not in any order, and you know, your mileage may vary. But a lot of these, I shouldn't say a lot of them, but some of them I picked because they're just what I would consider atypical J. Scott Campbell covers, like this one. I mean, you usually see them drawn babes, right? But here we have Juggernaut, and I thought, well, that looks pretty cool. I know everybody hates me. What can I say? The one thing I do like about, well, there's a lot of things I like about his covers, but the one thing I really like about his covers is they're usually one centralized, strong central image, which I think is the proper way to sell a book. And this is cool. That's pretty self-explanatory why it's cool. Now, this is, I put this on here because I think it's a very popular cover. And that's the black cat wearing, is that a Spider-Man nightgown thing she's got on there? That's actually Peter Parker's shirt. Remember when Peter Parker used to be a nerd and now he's just got tons of hot women chasing after him all the time? Look at that. Look at Blackjack. Congratulations. Look at that. He says, I was 295 pounds 9 years ago. Started calisthenics, and now I'm 163 to 175. That's amazing. Still do calisthenics and jiu-jitsu. I'm in my mid-50s and the best shape of my life. Way to go, Idaho. Now, I'm in my early 60s, and I'm nowhere near the best shape of my life because I used to be a workout machine, but I got kind of burnt out on it. But anyway, okay, well, I'm not going to get into that. Okay, so anyway, I think this is actually kind of a iconic, if there is such a thing, Scott Campbell cover. I think it is. Now this one, I really like this one, and one of the reasons I'm putting it on here is because it stirred up so much controversy. Stupid controversy. Let me make clear on that. Evil One for $2. I missed this earlier. He says, email me pics so I can start my project, please. I did. And of course, he's like, oh, yeah, I got it. Thanks. Yeah. That was like, I sent it out yesterday or the day before. So you just weren't paying attention, Chris, I think is the problem there. But anyway, yeah, they were talking about, it was so dumb because you had all these, I want to say they were probably girls, women complaining about this cover. And I'm like, you know, this is a cover drawn for dudes anyway. But to sit there and suggest that the anatomy is not right or whatever was just stupid because Scott Campbell he's very stylized. So yeah, she's got super thin waist and all this other stuff. And it's like, duh. Yeah. I mean, I get so ticked off when people do that. It's just stupid criticism for no reason other than to complain about something. Well, I think this is a great cover. So you got the thing that's unrealistic about this cover is if this was your wife, right, you would not be doing this at this moment. I wouldn't be leaving the house. I can tell you that. So anyway, but I mean, this is really nice because you've got the entire, you know, he fills out the he fills out the room, the whole picture, right? And you still get Spider-Man back here in the background with these buildings back here. It's just a really, really nice cover. Well designed, well executed. And all the whiny, grumpy women that don't like this, don't look at it then. Of course, I'm not talking to anybody in our chat because they wouldn't be whiny and grumpy about this or anything for that matter. But I do think this is it's not that old. This is just a few years ago, but I remember well, I guess it was a while ago. Was it 2009? Was that long ago? Doesn't seem like it was that long ago when people were complaining about this. I think they brought it up again for some reason. Maybe it was reused on something and kind of got everybody's attention. Really well designed, executed cover. Now I like this one purely on the artistic merits of it, the design merits of it, the color scheme. I mean, the color on this is so muted. And you've got that really sort of nice green on her face. It sort of really jumps out. That gun is really cool too. Like that. Spaceman is correct about this. If you get rid of carbohydrates and sugar, you lose weight so quickly it's ridiculous. Who wants to do that? Anyway, so this is apparently a Gamora miniseries, I assume. So now this I picked just because of the character. Again, this is like one of those things I would not expect to see J. Scott Campbell doing. And he did it. And so I dig it. I like how they messed around with the logo and everything to kind of work it more into the art. That's pretty cool. So dynamic cover, again, bold, singular character right, coming right at you. Really nice. And I don't think I've ever seen this one before. I can't tell what year it was. 22. So 4 years ago. I mean, it's not like, the thing with it, it's a typical Ghost Rider image, but it's not something that he typically does. So therefore it feels fresh and interesting. So that really grabbed my attention. And this one, the color on this, color and design on this I think are superb. So you got your Babbage on there, but I just think that black and red stark background coloring on the what's that Russian building called? I almost said the Taj Mahal, but that would be wrong. That would be in India, isn't it? But this is the Kremlin. Is that the Kremlin or something? What is that? That palace or whatever? I don't know. But I think that's a good one. My dog's begging for food. Begging, I tell you. Go lay down. I'll feed you in a minute. Again, really, really, really strong design on this. I really like that. This one I hadn't seen before either, but I love the dynamics in this one. And of course, whenever you're talking J. Scott Campbell, you got to get yourself a Savage Land Rogue piece in there someplace, right? Great dinosaur head. I love that. And her swinging at you like that. It's awesome. I love this cover. And again, I think it's cool how they worked the title logo into the art. There we go. Yes, the Kremlin. I'm getting confirmation on that. The interesting thing about his faces, he has a real Mort Drucker vibe to his work. And a lot of people probably don't see that, but if you check out Mort Drucker's work on Mad and take a look at Campbell, feels like Mort Drucker had some influence on him in some way, shape, or form. Evil One says, man, you're passing up some classics. Well, classic is in the eye of the beholder. I said, these are some of my favorites. And sometimes the classics I don't always agree with. So how about them apples? Now this one I think is a classic. I like all the extra detail in this, like the goofy people on the side of the street here. You got your cars, a building, Spider-Man hiding back up there. Now, let's be... Well, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say I probably would never put like MJ as the main character on a cover, but now that I think about it, yeah, I probably would. If it's something like this, I think it works if you do it every, once in a blue moon. But see, that face on Mary Jane reminds me so much of Mort Drucker. But I think this is another one of his sort of classic covers, ones that kind of stands out over time. And I'm not exactly sure why it has, but I do like it. Now, this one I dig because, again, not what I would expect to see from J. Scott Campbell. That's the thing, when you're known as a chick artist, as they say in the business, that's 90% of your jobs, right? But every once in a while, you get to do something like this and show people, hey, I can draw medieval Spawn too, And that's a pretty cool cover. I did a medieval Spawn pinup. Yeah, that horse is cool. That's cool. Nice coloring on this. Bold, in your face. Very reminiscent of the Ghost Rider cover, except Spawn, medieval Spawn on a horse. So. And then finally, this isn't necessarily my favorite, although I do really like this cover. Thus, it's on the list. You see, this is, I think, is your most effective way to do a Mary Jane cover, right? You got Spider-Man front and center. She's hanging all over him as he's getting away, and you got all these villains in the background. That's good times right there. The sort of cartoony exaggeration is just So much fun. So you got Mysterio back here. It looks like the Jackal back here. Green Goblin. Chameleon. I don't know who this dude is. You guys probably do. That guy right there. I don't know. Lizard, Venom, Rhino, Scorpion, Morbius, Sandman down here, Electro, Prowler, Kraven the Hunter, Doc Ock, Hydro the Waterman, or whatever he is. Who's that dude right there? Who knows who that is? Come on, who is this dude? That guy right there. Who is that guy right there? Yeah, I can zoom in. It's getting a little blurry though. Right there. Is that one of those hammer and anvil type guys, or who is that? That's not Sandman's hand. It's a guy's face. No, Morbius is over here. Talking about this guy right here. You guys can see my mouse, can't you? Someone says Morloon. Who the heck is that? I haven't even heard of that guy. Everybody's saying Morloon or Moreland. I have no idea who that is. Moreland? Moreland? Murdoch says looks like a dollar store Morbius. Moreland is the spider totem character. Wow. All righty, so there you go. That's kind of a look at some nice J. Scott Campbell covers. Now, he sits around the corner from me at San Diego, man, and he's got a line a mile long all the time. He's at his booth selling these covers, these variants and stuff that he does. I think he's doing all right. I think he's doing all right for himself. All right. Today, we're not going to focus completely on Bigfoot. There's quite a bit of strange stuff going on in the world. We're going to take a look at some various forms of that right now. Okay, I swear this is the last one I'm going to eat right now. Oh, these are good. All right. It's like Easter candy. I didn't get any Easter candy this year, so really I'm just sort of like making up for last time. All right. What do we got here? Oh, crap. You know what I did? I didn't organize my videos. So now I have to search through my freaking... Oh, this is so unfortunate. What did I do with my... Because these were ones we did last week. Usually they, okay, here we go. Here we go. There's one right there. Oh, Russian Bigfoot. That's a good one. Found another one. Hang with me, man. Ah, okay. This one I can't wait to show you this one. Let's see. Can I find one more? I have one more around here someplace. Got them all. All right. Sorry about that. Let's take a look. Randy Howell says, for $2, time for more Kelsey family photos. Indeed. All right. Creative Faye wants to hear my dinosaur theories. I'm going to bring it up. But to do the dinosaur show, it's going to take some work to put it all together, because Paul Taylor is going to be right on my butt if I don't. That didn't come out right. It's going to be right on my case if I do not have have my house in order when I bring in my dinosaur theories. So that takes a little bit of homework. This, however, so does this, digging these things up. But all right, we're going to start with this because I'd never heard of this before. Okay. Okay, have any of you guys ever heard of a thing called not a deer? Okay, this is apparently a thing. A cryptid that's out there, that it's something that looks like a deer, but it really isn't a deer. That is the technical term for it. If you search this on Google or whatever, not a deer, it'll come up and explain this to you. That is a alleged cryptid that looks like a deer, but doesn't act like a deer, which may be the stupidest cryptid of all time. But here we are investigating it nonetheless. The phenomenon that is not a deer. So now what happened was, I don't have the sound on, but this guy is videotaping these deers in a clearing. And then this deer, or what he believes to be not a deer, stands up and screeches at him in a very strange, undeer-like sound. And look at it just stand there. And the guy gets scared and runs away, allegedly. So he's saying, yes, it looks like a deer, but a deer wouldn't act like that. So therefore, it's not a deer, it's a not a deer. You get what I'm saying? Let's see. People are saying, okay, so Paul's saying this is an AI deer. Is it? So can deers not do that? I mean, I've heard they can, don't they get up on their hind legs maybe sometimes to reach like plant growth or something, but they usually don't stay up like that. Oh, you know what? I can see it now. It looks right here. This transitions to AI, like right there. Like this looks like it could be just like a real deer. And then right here, this is right there. It gets a little weird. Okay. All right. You got me. I thought maybe this was a real deer just doing some in the woods shenanigans, but we're going to go with the AI deer. All right. Pity Moss says, I have deer and bear all around me, and I see them do that to eat leaves. But do they do that to scream at the person in the woods? Angela Chocolate Curry has joined the fray. Thanks for joining us, Angela. Better late than never. Okay. All right. Brian G says the not a deer is very low on his cryptid interest list. Well, I had never heard of it. And I thought, That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And then when I saw a video of it, I was like, okay, well, we're going to take a look at this. And so there you go. Probably more than likely an AI deer, which then conclusively would be not a deer. So it actually does fit into that category, right? Okay, now this one is, I will say this. The people in the car screaming when they see this seems pretty authentic, but that still doesn't say anything about what we've actually seen. So they're driving along. There it is. Do you see it? Did you miss it? Okay, look. Right there. See it running across the street on all fours, whatever that strange thing is. So they're like, da, 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 blah, they saw that. So, maybe it's fake. But the thing is, it's so blurry. It could be a coyote. It could be anything. But it does kind of, for a second, look like a weird person on all fours, doesn't it? Like right there. Doesn't that kind of look like it could be a person on all fours? So yeah, so the screaming's pretty authentic because you're driving at night and something runs out in front of the car, you're going to, would probably react regardless of what it was. We're under the impression this could be a rake or a skinwalker, something like that. Or it could be somebody's dog. It's hard to say. There we go in slow-mo. Look at it. Look at it. And it's gone. Slow-mo. Here it is. Here it is. And it's gone. There it is. There it is. There it is. And it's gone. Any suggestions in the chat about what we're looking at here? Matthew Muma says that's just me trying to recover after tripping while on my way to Jimmy John's. Okay. Creative Face says it kind of looks like the creatures from the Dark Crystal without the stilts, I think is what she meant to say. Anti-Entity says it would be more believable if it was a dash cam. Okay. Somebody in a t-shirt. The only thing I have a problem with is this actually being a dude. I mean, I guess they could have staged the whole thing. But like I said, the screaming's actually pretty convincing on this. But, which doesn't mean anything because it's easy to scream and act like you're scared. But I don't know how fast they're going or, a little dangerous to stage something like this at night when you can't see that well. But I guess the drivers were in on it too. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't put anything past anybody to get attention on social media because it kind of does look like a dude. It looks like he has like a dark coat on with white sleeves or something. But I'm also not going to dismiss the idea that it possibly could be just some sort of animal. And because the resolution is so bad and the lighting is so bad, stuff gets blurred together and it looks different than it actually is. But I'm not ready to say that's a skinwalker right there. Angela Curry is suggesting that possibly it's a face hugger or a spider in Australia. That's not a bad one right there. Evil One says, so it's not a deer. Now, see, that's where it gets confusing, right? There's this episode of Star Trek called I, Mud, second season episode, where the Enterprise is captured by a bunch of androids controlled by Harry Mudd, but then the androids turn on Harry Mudd. So they have to confuse the robots to gain control back. So they say Harry Mudd is a liar. Remember that. Harry Mudd is a liar. Everything he says is a lie. Don't believe anything he says. And then Harry Mudd says, I'm lying. And so the robot was like, well, okay, if you're lying and all you can do is lying, you must be telling the truth, but you can't tell the truth because all you do is lie. But now you're saying you're lying, but you can't tell the truth. So you must be lying about lying, but that means you're telling the truth, but you can't tell the truth because, and it goes back and forth. And I think that's where we're at with this not a deer thing, right? So anything that's not a deer is technically not a deer, even though you could say that's not a deer, but it still wouldn't be a not a deer. It's very confusing. There we go. So you guys can wrestle with that in your brains tonight when you should be sleeping. Okay, let's take a look at a. Should we do the alien encounter or the Bigfoot next? Let's do. We'll say Bigfoot for last. Okay, let's do the alien encounter. Now, this is a Spanish-speaking country. I don't know exactly where. The nice thing about this video is it's a little bit longer than we're used to seeing. So let's take a look here. So these guys are out there. They saw these lights go down in the sky that looked like they were. See a little gray alien head right there? There he is. There he is. Pretty clear focus. And so they think like the ship went down. So they went to investigate, and then allegedly they found this. Oh. So there's your gray alien. Now here's the problem with this video. As soon as this thing comes up behind it, okay, this guy right here, they bring the flashlight down so we can't clearly see it. And they didn't seem to have any trouble shining the flashlight on the gray alien right there. But then when this comes up, they drop their light so you can't see it. Which then, of course, now you know me, I'm very cynical and I don't believe in aliens. So this is obviously either AI or a dude in a costume. My feeling is it's this guy in a rubber mask here. And then they got some like a puppet or something coming up behind him. And that's why they dropped the flashlight so we can't clearly see that it's a really lame costume with a glowing green chest thing. I guess it walks away, so it can't be a puppet, but I don't think it's good enough to be AI. But that whole thing with the flashlight, okay? So they're speaking in Spanish right now, and they're like shining the flashlight. Oh, do you see that? Do you see that? And they get in there closer and they say, oh my gosh, that's a gray alien. And they don't have any trouble at all shining the light on the gray alien. But as soon as his glowing friend from Scooby-Doo shows up, they drop the thing and run. See, you don't even get to see the whole thing. Wouldn't you hold the flashlight up at least for a couple seconds so you get a clear shot of the thing and then run away? See, boom, before he even shows himself. So I have my questions about our Spanish friends that filmed this video. Well, that's true. Maybe that's it. It's like we want to see that cool glowing green, so you bring the light down so it can glow in the dark, and that makes it even cooler. I think you're right. But they got that light right there on the like it's a pretty good shot of the gray alien right there. Right there. Pretty good shot of the gray alien, right? His bug eyes and bald head. How come these aliens don't have hair? This would be like a planet that I could probably really thrive in. I would just be like everybody else. My eyes wouldn't be that big, but I'd have the bald head. And then that kind of rises up. And then, do you notice we have a cut though? Right here. Okay. Thing stands up, cuts, boom, right there. And now it's walking away. So very suspicious right there. A little edit job. So he's got a green triangle thing on his. Maybe it's Superman. That's kind of, could that be like a kryptonite symbol of Superman on his chest? What was that guy? Who has the kryptonite in his heart? What's that character called? The fight Superman? Is it Metallo? Or is it somebody else? Angela Curry says it's called fake. Yeah, and they're always naked too. These are like sophisticated beings that can make these spaceships that can travel light years, and they don't have any clothes. Evil One says looks like some Halloween props. I agree. That's exactly what it looks like. It's more difficult to animate hair, says Creative Faye. Avenger says looks like a South American fake video. That's exactly what it looks like. And that's exactly what it is. Yeah, Metallo, there he is. Yeah, that's the guy with the, he has kryptonite in his heart, right? Or something. So that could be what we're seeing here. Dang it. Someday, you guys, I'm going to make my own cryptid video and shock the world. Except you guys will know the truth. When I release it, you go, oh, that's Aaron's fake video. But all the other millions of cryptid people out there will just eat it up. Creative Face says that aliens are nudists. Okay. Black Jeff says I'd be naked all the time if I could get away with it. Oh, my goodness. Clothing optional in space. Okay. All right. So here's the thing with Bigfoot. He apparently is not just in the Pacific Northwest. Well, now Bigfoot's everywhere, right? There's Oklahoma Bigfoot. There's Texas Bigfoot. There's anywhere in the Rocky Mountain Range Bigfoot, the Oregon, Washington Bigfoot, where it really started, I believe. And then it's in Ohio now, in the Carolinas. I mean, Bigfoot is literally everywhere. He's also in Russia. And let's take a look at what the Ruskies have to offer us in terms of Bigfoot lore. Here we go. This, of course, is not the film. It's the setup, which never, here's the film. There you go. And that's it. Well, no, you got a little bit more there. Let's break this down. How come when they do AI shots like that or drone shots, like there's crystal freaking clear, but as soon as Bigfoot shows up, it's blurry and fuzzy? Okay, let's take a look here. There he is walking. Okay, so his arm is here, kind of hunched over. There's his leg. His other leg coming out this way, I believe. There's his head. So we get a little bit more. There's his head and his arm there. Kind of stays with him a little bit here as he kind of looks around, fiddling around with that tree branch. And then, of course, it ends abruptly, like they always do, for no reason. You're finally the guy who's got Bigfoot on tape, and you're going to end it after about 4 or 5 seconds of filming. I don't think you are, but there we have it. Okay, so tell me, they're saying this is like the Russian Patterson Gimlin film. Okay. So let's put that to the test. Here's the Patterson-Gimlin film to refresh our memories. Nice and shaky the way we like it. Here we go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, and then they start shaking the camera again. So you got about 10 seconds of Bigfoot footage here of him walking, but still pretty blurry, right? Okay.
Someone who never expected to record what they recorded. The footage is short, but someone who never expected to record what they recorded. The footage is short, but the figure inside it is unmistakable. A massive dark shape moves through deep snow, pushing forward with a big.
All right, let's do this again.
The creepy video posted on January 21st, 2026, shows a pair of female people, the two galloping across.
So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about half a little bit more than half the length of the Patterson-Gimlin film. Is this showing us, why am I getting sound on this?
One time, me and my friend were driving down at 2 in the morning, and creepy music, and someone actually ran across the road on all fours. But it was really someone or something. Some viewers are calling it a ghost.
Something is playing. I don't know where it is. Make it stop. That's the oh, I see. The rake video was playing. That's what it was. All right. So do we think that this Russian Bigfoot, I don't think it's as good as a Patterson-Gimlin film. And I don't think the Patterson-Gimlin film is any good. I mean, it's probably one of the better Bigfoot or the best Bigfoot film ever, but it's still not great. The Ninja Genko says, I once got paid to go out to Russia and dress up like a Sasquatch. Okay. I'm still waiting for I'm still waiting to see that documentary that allegedly debunks the Patterson-Gimlin film. That's what I want to see. It's as fake. Henry Angela says it's as fake as the myth of the strength of the Russian army. Is that war still going on, by the way? Isn't it funny how we've forgotten about that? Because now it's all the Iran military action, if you will. And no one cares about Ukraine anymore. We have the shortest attention spans. James says Bigfoot would never be a commie. This is absolutely fake. Oh, I agree, but they're saying that it's like the Russian Gimlin film, but come on, you got to do better than that. Anyway, I don't know that if I've opened your eyes or made you think differently about cryptids. Our videos today have not been necessarily all that convincing. So I apologize, but I don't know if that's really my job, is to convince you. My job is to present the evidence and let you decide. So there you go. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you for today. I always think I'm just going to go 2 hours. I always end up going 2.5 hours. I've just got so much junk to share with you that it just flies by. It just flies by. I want to remind everybody the real reason that we're here, and that's for this baby right now. This Barbaric Adventures campaign looks like we grabbed another backer during the show. That's fantastic. Thank you. Now, if you have not backed this project yet, folks, you've got 2 days, 6 hours, 35 minutes, and 43 seconds, count it down, to get in on this. I'd like to see this get up to 40. Can we do it? Anything's possible. But obviously, there's a lot of people that generally back Wraith and other projects of mine that are not getting on board with this for whatever reason. It could be Paul Taylor's black and white prejudice that is spread like a disease across the artistic landscape. But it does have color covers, and the interior stuff in here is really groovy. There you go. Look at that. How could you pass this up? Look at that dinosaur. This is good, wholesome family fun right here. Look at this guy beating up slightly. He's got a knife right there. He could be cutting the throat of this caveman. It's action right there, man. Action, I tell you. Look at this stuff. This is a quality book that I think you really want to be a part of this project. So anyway, you got 2 days, 6 hours, 34 minutes, 35 seconds left to back this. You'll find a link in the description of this video. It'll take you right to the campaign. Gosh darn it. And it's also pinned to the top of the chat of this video. If you go to my profile page on X, there's a link there. And if you go to my website, there's a link there. And if you go to Indiegogo, you can just type in my name, which is Aaron Lopresti, of course, or Barbaric Adventures, and it'll take you to the campaign. There's so many ways to get there, you guys. Don't pass up this opportunity to back the coolest project of 2026. Sequential Treasures for 10. Woo. Thank you, Sequential. He says, note to all, Artistry Appreciation returns tomorrow on my channel at 12 p.m. Pacific time with new co-host Andy Smith. How about that? Don't miss it. Oh, and Aaron, check your email. We need to talk. If you're going to try and talk me into something, James, I'm not going to reply because I don't have time. And you never take no for an answer. I can't do it. But anyway, thank you for the $10. How about that? Artistry Appreciation returns tomorrow on my channel at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with new co-host Andy Smith. All right, that should be good. You guys check that out. That's James' channel, which is Sequential Treasures on the YouTubes. Anyway, thank you guys very much for it. Please spread the word on this. We only got 2 days left. We want to get this up as high as we can. What else can I say? I'm excited about this project, and you should be too. So let's get after it. Thank you, guys. We'll see you right here next week on Comics, Cryptids, and Cannonballs. Good night, everybody.